Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome back. We will be continuing today's lesson um, and we will see that how the perfect competitive firms behave. What are their behaviors while they are doing business, or let's say they are producing goods and services in the market, how would they behave? So this is something which is very uncommon to understand, something about that how a firm which is said to be perfectly competitive, which have more competition to face in the economy, which has like a more, uh, they are the price takers. So some of the constraints and restrictions are set on such kind of firms. So with this restriction of free entry of the firms, where the firms can enter freely and they can exit without any restriction. And at the same time, where the prices, firms are said to be price takers. And when the products are also homogeneous, how is that the firm has to behave? So, considering these two factors, when there is more competition, competition is another sword, you may say, or it's that sword or that hard instrument which actually makes you more efficient in the market. So usually it is seen that if you remain efficient in such type of structure of the market, then you are going to be considered as surviving in the market. Otherwise, you will be outcast from the market. The other firms, since they have free entry to come, and since everybody is ready to take the price, so there is one thing which will make them to survive. And what is their survival based on? That is efficiency, and efficiency is the behavior which is required in the perfectly competitive market. So in a structure like where we are falling in the perfect market, then we have to be very, very efficient in order to survive. So what is that you have to do? First of all, the firm's basic survival is based on the profits. The profit is the main thing on which every firm is actually surviving. So how the firm profit is earned in perfectly competitive market. Now, to understand the profit, we need to know that what type of profits are there that the firms are usually earning. The profits are actually divided into three types. That sometimes firms are earning abnormal profits. Sometimes the firms are earning normal profits. And sometimes they are earning subnormal profits. Now, what are these three types? We will understand it first. Now, we know that the profit is actually calculated with an equation of profit maximization. The profit is always earned by subtracting the revenues with the cost of production. This is very much obvious. So let's suppose that the firm is gaining revenues by selling products. Let's say it's $10. And the cost which it bears on per unit is $8. So the profit is obviously is $2. Now this is actually the equation of the profit, or the way how we could calculate profit. Now, if we want to calculate these three types, what type of profits they are. The abnormal profit is something which is sometimes considered as super profit as well, or abnormal profit, which is actually showing a situation where the firm's costs are low and the revenues are higher than its cost. And usually we use the terminologies like if the average cost is below than the average revenue, then the firm is earning an abnormal profit. So the situation which you see in this equation or in this example, you can see that the revenues are higher than the cost. So the profit is an abnormal profit. Now, the normal profit is somewhere where it is said to be the revenues and cost are almost equal. So if they are equal, there is a zero profit, and this zero profit is somehow is making firms to sustain their production for some time. They assume that with this profit, they can at least run their business and they don't have to close their business and go out from the industry. So what happens that when the profit is zero, or it's very minimum, just because there's a lesser difference between revenues and cost. Lesser difference you can see in this example. The revenues and the costs are almost same, or perhaps it's the same. Then this type of profit is going to be known as a normal profit. A normal profit is actually given a term to such kind of example for you. Now we have the last one, this is subnormal profit, and let's say the subnormal profit is also known as a loss of the firm. So if let's say the revenues are falling or they are lesser than the cost. For example, if the revenues are 6 and the cost is 8, so it's going to be minus $2 profit. That is subnormal profit. So have you noticed, dear students, that how these terms can be understood? An abnormal profit was when the value was in positive, like when the profit was $2, this was abnormal profit. Abnormal profit. But at the moment when the profit was 0, it was a normal profit. But when it turns to negative, it was subnormal. Sub means like something below the normal, like a subway, like subordinate. So sub is something which shows as like something beneath or something under. So it means that when the profit was 0, this was a normal profit, but when it's moving to the negative trend, then it's going to be a subnormal profit. So you can see that in a track of the business history of any firm, they will come across to find out 3 types of profits usually. So it can be an abnormal profit, it can be earning a 0 profit, it can be earning a subnormal profit. So in the common terms, we are usually using the word like sometimes firms are facing profits and sometimes they face losses. The profit and losses. So if we just put it in the economic terms, the profit is actually divided into these 3 types. And any firm can be coming across with these 3 types of profits. So they might be earning abnormal, normal, or subnormal. Now, the next question comes that how this trend actually varies. How do we see the subnormal profit and abnormal profit and normal profit as a perfectly competitive firm? And in the last, we have to show that do we think that the firms are always earning the abnormal profit throughout their year, or is it that they earn the normal profit, or are they earning the subnormal profit. So for that, we need to put up one example before us to understand it in a better way. Okay, now we see that let's suppose if the firm's product is sold somewhere at $100 and the cost was, let's say it was 50. This is the cost, this is the revenue. So we believe that the firm is earning an abnormal profit. Okay? So the firm is earning an abnormal profit. Now what happens, dear students, that if we just see the trend in the competitive world, how the firms actually behave. Now if we just put this topic in this shape, that how the firms behave, then looking after the profits, we will see how the profits are earned being as a perfectly competitive firm. Let's suppose if you see that the firms are earning like 50 abnormal profit. So you will see after this, there is a huge supply of firms in the market or industry. So what happens when there will be more firms in the industry, they are going to share more profit with each other by sharing more customers with them. The customers or the market share will be spread among most of the firms which will be now coming inside the industry or the market to enjoy this abnormal profit. But what happens? Since we know that the perfect market is actually having free entry and exit. So looking after this abnormal profit, most of the firms will move inside the industry or the market, and then they are going to take more or capture more market by spreading the profit with each other. So what happens that the product which they were selling being as coming into the market, they will start offering lesser prices just to capture more. And we know when you are setting or reducing more prices, the lesser revenue you gain and the lesser price and the lesser revenue you will get. So what happens when let's say the prices are now you are capable to sell at $50 and the cost remains same. So the profits of most of the firms will start moving to a normal profit scenario. Okay, if this thing still persists, if more firms are meanwhile coming inward and the revenues are still falling, so what happens? It will turn into negative. And this will now engage or it will give a signal to many firms who were there in first place to enjoy the abnormal profit. Now they are earning a subnormal profit. And since we have one characteristic that if there is a free entry to the firm, free entry in the market, then there is a free exit from the industry as well. So they will start moving outside. So free entry and free exit, this is one point which I mentioned in the beginning is going to change our behavior, that if we will do the business in the perfect market in that particular industry or should we leave it. So it all depends upon the profit. So in the end, the firms are ending with the normal profits. Let's suppose if a firm was earning an abnormal profit in the beginning, but in the long run, which is that's a year or more than that, the firm's profits are actually spreading out. And now at that position, they will be earning zero profit. So that's the reason which we find that mostly in the perfect competitive firms, the firms are usually earning the normal profits. Why? Because most firms are entering and exiting from the industry just because of considering the profits variation. And now and that is the reason which we find that the most of the industries has to be more efficient, and they cannot lose their customers. They will get their best services to gain or survive in the market. Anybody who is a little inefficient to produce, then they will definitely lose their customers and they will be out from the industry. Okay, so that is something about the behavior of the perfect competitive firms. On Monday, we will have our next chunk from the market structure. That is going to be the monopoly, or the imperfect, one of the types of the imperfect competitive market structure. And we will compare the behavior of that firm structure as well. And then we will compare together that why it is inefficient, why it is normal over here, and why that type of firm has an abnormal profit in the long run as well. So until then, we are just discontinuing today's lesson. Thank you very much for being today. I hope you will read the books and find out what does it says about the market structure. You can refer to the book. The topic is price and output policy. Price and output policy, under which we have studied these topics. So you can refer to that. If you have any question, you may ask today, or you can leave it for some other time and we can answer your queries about that. So thank you very much and stay safe.